35. Wick was inconsolable. He wanted to rush after the Wormen to save his love, but Overdum convinced him that none of them were in any shape to pursue them. "But she'll die!" "We'll all die if we go now. We need to heal, to recover, and she'll be fine. For a while, at least," Gryph said. "How can you know that?" Wick demanded, his face red from rage and fear. "If they wanted her dead, they would have killed her here. So that suggests they want her for something else. Whatever that something else is, it buys us some time. Time we desperately need." "I agree," Overdum said. Desperate fear waged a battle with logic on Wick's face. After a few moments, he found calm. "You're right." He pulled the chain from his neck, on which hung a ring very like the one Gryph had stashed in his inventory. Wick concentrated on the ring for a moment, and then choked back tears. "She's alive. Scared, but alive." Overdum squeezed his shoulder, and Gryph kneeled down next to Wick with a grimace of pain. "We will save her," Gryph said. Wick locked eyes with him and nodded. "Help me up," Wick said, and Overdum hefted the gnome to his feet. With a grimace, Gryph also got to his feet. "What a sad trio we make," Wick jested, and a small smile crept across his face. "Let's go back to the hideout. Tifla should have something there we can use." The mere mention of her name brought worry back to his face, and Gryph added his hand to the gnome's other shoulder. "We will save her," Overdum said, and Wick nodded. The trio entered the hideout to find Zeg digging through a chest. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Wick demanded. The imp tore its face up and glared.
"Shiny want for Zeg."
Overdum walked up and tried to grab the irritating imp, but he bounced aside and whipped Overdum across the face with his tail. Zeg landed atop a high shelf and stuck his tongue out at them. He looked at the three warriors with worry in his eyes.
"Where's Pretty Lady? Pretty Lady promised Zeg shiny."
Wick grumbled under his breath in Gnomish, and while Gryph had not heard enough of the diminutive man's native language with his Master of Tongues ability to translate the language, he was pretty sure the tirade was laced with profanity. Wick walked to a leather case and opened it, revealing row after row of potions. He searched through and found 3 red health potions and tossed one each to Overdum and Gryph. "Potions of major health should get us all back up to snuff," Wick said, upending his. Gryph and Overdum did the same, and a rush of healing heat surged through Gryph's body. If a minor health potion felt like a cup of coffee, this thing was like a triple espresso. "Damn," Gryph said in appreciation. "Told you my girl is good." Wick walked over to the chest Zeg had been rummaging through and dug out a small mirror. He tossed it up to Zeg, and the imp squealed in delight and looked at himself from all angles. He grinned like some kind of horrid fashion model doppelganger and spun to see himself in different positions. When he checked out his own ass, Gryph checked out the scene and looked back at Wick. "Tiff always insisted we be nice to Zeg. Promised it a mirror just like hers if it helped us out." "And where was it during the fight?" Overdum asked.
"He no say fight. He say look. Zeg, look. Find things. Tell short ugly man about things."
Zeg protested. Wick sighed and rubbed his forehead with his hand. Oh, technically it is right. Damn imps are always so literal. Is it always here? Overham asked. Thankfully no, Wick said. I can summon him for up to 24 hours before he returns to the Thonic realm. Then I need to wait another 24 hours before summoning him again. I'd estimate I have him for another half hour at most. Can he track the Wormen? Gryph asked. Given the time, yeah, since he can port pretty much anywhere he is seen. But it takes time, and that is something we don't have.
Lies! Always lies about Zeg. Lying liar, short, ugly man's pants on fire.
Zeg snapped his fingers, and Wick's pants smoked. Wick slapped the small flames away with practiced ease. I thought you said he wasn't allowed to attack you, Gryph said.
No attack. Make joke. Ha ha ha. Zeg funny. Hilarious. The most funny,
Zeg said, and then chortled lightly to himself as he posed in the mirror some more.
Plus, Zeg find pretty lady. You say Zeg can no find. You lie. Pfft.
All three of the men stared at Zeg. What do you mean? Gryph asked. They waited for Zeg to respond, but it just stared at them with a sleepy expression.
Oh, mean Zeg. Why you call Zeg you? You no Zeg's name, tall, pokey-eared goober?
Zeg asked quizzically. Goober? Gryph scowled, which earned a small grin from both Overham and Wick. He now understood Wick's frustration and even felt sympathy for the gnome. His affinities had sent him down the path where frequent interactions with the obnoxious imp were common. Gryph imagined Lex would love the little devil. You said you can find Tifila, Wick said, but Zeg was once more admiring his reflection. Zeg! Hello, Zeg!
Yes, find pretty lady can Zeg. But Zeg need one something.
What is that? Wick said.
Promise can have, and Zeg tell.
Gryph was no expert on demons, but he suspected that agreeing to a deal with one before knowing the terms was a bad idea. He looked from Wick to Overham and shrugged. Not sure we have much choice. Both men nodded. Fine, Zeg. You can have one something, Wick said.
Whoop!
The imp said, and jumped and danced and spun. It leapt from its perch atop the shelf, bounced off Gryph's head, and then onto Wick's back. Oi, get off! Wick said, trying to slap the imp off his shoulder, and failing. Zeg bounced and sang, and then reached down the back of Wick's shirt and tugged. A gold chain popped out, and Zeg tugged harder, choking Wick. After a moment, the chain snapped, and Zeg pulled it free. Dangling from the chain was Wick's bond ring. Wick coughed and sputtered for a minute before regaining his breath. He then ran after the imp, who bounced from shelf to bed and onto Overham's back. Give that back, Wick finally said through coughs.
You said any something. This something Zeg need.
Anything but that, Wick said with a deep anger. Gryph held him back, earning a glare of ire from the gnome. Just watch, Gryph said. Wick calmed somewhat, but he eyed Zeg like a father glaring at his daughter's prom date. Zeg closed its eyes and mumbled a chant. An oily glow pulsed from Zeg's palm and into the ring. The ring drank in the energy like a dry sponge tossed into a full sink. Wick grumbled, and Gryph couldn't blame him. This was much more than a symbol of his love for Tifila. It was an actual magical connection. Whatever the imp was doing was a violation. Then it got worse. Zeg tossed the ring into the air and caught it on its long, very slimy tongue. It then moved it around its mouth in a manner that would make a stripper blush. It even gargled the ring at one point, before finally jumping down. It grabbed Wick's hand and spit the ring onto the gnome's hand. The ring landed with a sickening slop, and mucus, spittle, and various other viscous and cloying semi-liquids bubbled on his hand. "Well, I can go the rest of my life without seeing that again," Ovrim said. "Trust me, you got off easy," Wick said as the slime slithered and burned his skin. Wick wiped the ring as best he could on a spare rag and returned it to its place under his shirt.
"Okay, Zeg and Uglies go now,"
Zeg said. "Aw, too bad, Zeg. Your 24 hours are up. Looks like it's time for you to go," Wick said with a small look of triumph.
"No, Zeg stay."
"Wait, what? It's been almost 24 hours. I thought you said you could only stay in the mortal realm for a day."
"You speaks. Zeg agreed. Don't mean true."
"Wait, you don't have to stay here for 24 hours every time I call you?" Zeg shrugged and picked at his teeth with a wickedly hooked nail. "Zeg, answer me," Wick demanded.
"Zeg come, you say. Zeg go, you say. Or when Zeg bored. Zeg don't even know what hour is."
Both Gryph and Ovrim had to laugh at Wick's shocked expression. "You and I will have a long speaks if we get out of this," Wick grumbled. "Now go and find Tifila. Then come right back. Do you understand?" Zeg grumbled and shook its tiny, crackless butt at Wick. "Say you understand," Wick repeated.
"Course understand. Zeg no dummy head. Zeg have more gooder idea. Zeg say give ugly Pokemon to Soul Wizard. Zeg want pretty lady back."
"We all do, you creepy red monkey," Gryph said.
"Zeg no monkey,"
the imp blurted in anger before sticking his tongue out at Gryph.
Wait. What is monkey?"
"Zeg, go, now," Wick commanded in a tight voice. With one last grumble, the imp disappeared in a flash of sulfur and flame. Wick inhaled deeply and pulled the ring from under his shirt once more and cradled it gently in his palm. Worry painted his face. "We will save her," Gryph promised. "I'm gonna hold you to that," Wick said, eyes red with tears and fear. He looked at Gryph, and Gryph knew that in that moment he would trade the world for Tifila. Would I do the same for Bryn? "That is not the way," Ovrim said. "I know you want it to be, but you know it isn't the way." Wick turned his eyes down, and shame and fear gripped him. Gryph walked up to him and pulled him close. Wick resisted for a moment before giving in. He looked up with a strength that belied his small size. "So, what's the plan?" Wick asked. "We need help," Gryph said. "Yeah, and where are we going to find that? This place isn't exactly brimming with friendly faces," Wick grumbled. "I know some people," Overham stated, in a tone that suggested it was the last thing he wanted to consider. "Friends?" Gryph asked. "Not exactly. They're called the Grey Company. I used to be a member." "Used to be. Let's just say we didn't see eye to eye on a few things." "And they'll help us find Tifila," Wick said in a voice near begging. "If we pay their price." "And what is their price?" Gryph asked. "Me."